Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. Got two fantastic guests for us tonight. We have got Chris and Dean back from the Wandering Road podcast. They are absolutely awesome. They was on the podcast not too long ago. Dark Forces at Work is what I called the episode 346. It was a banger episode, guys. Very, very scary. I got some great feedback from it, but you shared some experiences that definitely the Freaky fam enjoyed and I enjoyed, and thank you for coming back.
Now, you said fantastic. I don't know. I wouldn't put us on that par.
I
We're
would.
we're just a couple of nerdy Yanks
Not at
ready to
all.
talk about our shit.
No, you are fantastic. You are fantastic, guys. You got a great podcast. For anyone that hasn't listened, if they haven't, they're crazy. Tell them a little bit about your show, guys.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, you do it, Dean. I always do it.
Oh God. Well,
You're
I'm the
up, Dean.
co-host. Yeah. So I'm the slave labor co-host. Chris is the one who started the podcast. And yeah, he kind of just dragged me on one day. Chris realized that it wasn't really cutting it when he was doing his own recordings and just talking. So he asked me one time, like, what was this, like 3 years ago? And he's like,
Yeah.
man, why don't you just come on as a guest and just see how it goes? And we just had like the best banter. We bounced off of each other's ideas and we had great stories, and we ended up taking on more and more guests, and it just took off from there. But we essentially like to focus on like not too much. We try not to focus too much on our own stories because we don't want to keep rehashing them over and over again. But if they come up in conversation, we'll do that. But most of the time, we try to get guests on. And if we can't get guests on, we do topical stuff. So we'll do like deep dive, looking into all kinds of crazy things that have happened in history, paranormal related, UFO related. And we even touch on like science and technology and kind of weave that in there, kind of like riding the edge of conspiratorial stuff. But
Hmm.
we kind of just do it for fun, like, and it's kind of taken off from there. I think we have about 1,000 people on average who listen regularly, and that's not really like the best for a podcast in terms of listening base, but we're definitely growing and we're trying to get up higher and higher. So yeah, come
Awesome,
Yeah.
check
man.
us out.
You guys are awesome. It's a great show. All
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stuff you guys talk about is what we love here at Let's Get Freaky. So it is
Yep.
fantastic. Now, last time you guys were on, Chris, we went quite deep into your experiences.
Hmm.
We're going to go back there today as well. As I said to you before, this is a standalone episode, so we can go back to that as well. But we said we were going to talk to about Dean's experiences a little bit more today. He gave us some teasers last time.
Yeah.
We mentioned aliens, lizard people. I'm very excited to hear what that's all about. But Dean, I'd like to go basically to the start of your journey with the paranormal and
Yeah.
what got you into these wild topics.
Yeah. Before we do
Right
that, I
on.
want to
Yeah.
preface. I want to
Oh, here we
do
go.
the preface for Dean.
Gotten into my
Before
time.
before we started, but when I brought him on and we started doing paranormal topics offline, after we either talked to people that had experiences or something like that. Early on in the show, we used to have a couple, like y'all say over there, a couple of bevies. And in our altered state, Dean would be like, I wish some of this stuff would happen. I'd like to just see like what happens. Here we are,
Uh-huh.
3 fucking years later.
Ah,
And I don't want to say like he opened up a door or something just by saying that. I think the fact that we talk to so many people
hmm.
and their stories and their energy, I don't know how the fuck it works, Tommy.
Yeah, no,
But
I
it's
think
but
yeah.
it's like when people share shit with you,
Hmm.
like you get weird dreams and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
I just wanted to quickly open before we started the show. Dean had like UFO stuff, sleep paralysis, weird dreams, like normal stuff.
Hmm.
It wasn't until afterward he started having some weird paranormal shit.
Interesting.
It wasn't plenty,
Yeah.
but it's like in
Yeah.
short spurts, but it's like creepy as fuck whenever he tells them.
Well, you look into the
Yeah.
paranormal, it looks back. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that is once you open yourself up to it, I think you're going to start experiencing. Like if you are believe in it and you're open to it, I think that's when you experience stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And
And
once
I
you
always
experience
take
something,
things
that's it. Once you have that weird experience, it's done.
once it's open. Um, yeah, and if you listen to our podcast, you'll hear that I take a gentle skeptic position, but not like skeptic in the sense like the classical sense where it's like a douchebag blocking everything you say about the paranormal. I believe that there is definitely something that's going on. And I can just hear like this, like some skeptics out there saying like, well, you came on this podcast, you talk about all this stuff and it's at the forefront of your brain. Of course, you're going to be kind of subconsciously looking for that. But let
Hmm.
me tell you something. Anybody who says that, the way my brain works and the way it's worked from a young age, I am so tuned in, and to my own detriment. Like I'm so tuned into everything around me that some of the experiences I had, I have racked my brain trying to figure out the best explanation for them. And some of them, man, I just don't have a good explanation for them. So once I tell you today, I want to hear like perspectives from other people.
Interesting, man. Interesting. So you before you started the podcast, you did have some paranormal experiences with UFOs. I know that's not
Yeah.
ghosts and stuff like that, but I think UFO is still, can you put it in that paranormal bracket, I think. If you see something like that,
Yeah.
it's still like, I think can open
Yeah.
you up to other stuff as well. So what kind of things did you see when you was younger?
Yeah. So I'll like tell from the basic beginning part where so like the earliest memory I have growing up was like staring out of like a bedding or a crib. I don't know how old I was. And I know it's kind of like it's iffy when you start talking about memories before 3, but I must have been, I would say it was probably between 2 and 3. And the earliest memory I have is registering the corner, the upright right hand corner of a room I was in where the wall meets the ceiling. And I remember this orb of light just growing out of the corner of the ceiling. And looking back on it, I always wondered, like, is that the moment I got my consciousness? Like, because in a way, it kind of is, like, because it's my earliest memory. But then, like, I have gone through years and years of reflecting on that and just wondering, like, does something from the universe like drop into us at a young age that kind of gives us? Because like, there's that theory where our consciousness comes from a galactic pool somewhere, and then we kind of return to that, and that's kind of getting into like the egg theory about the universe, like where we're all having this shared experience and we seem separate, but really like we're one conscious. But like
Hmm.
that is the oldest, weirdest thing I could think of.
Interesting. So is that
Yeah.
like saying a baby's not fully has doesn't have full consciousness or what?
Yeah. I think
Interesting.
so. Yeah, I think that you can make that argument, and maybe it's only from the memory perspective.
Hmm.
Like maybe the reason why it's just because your brain is so malleable and new that you're constantly rewriting stuff and you can't hold that much info at a
Yeah.
young age. But I think that I looked it up and it's really rare for anyone to have a claimed memory before 3 or 4.
Okay.
And then of
I
course,
have got a memory when I
yeah,
was 2. I know this is not about
really.
me. Yeah, but I
No, I
can
want to hear. I want
remember.
to hear this. I want to hear.
So
Yeah,
when I was 2 years old, we went to Portugal, my mum and dad, and I was
nice.
obviously very young. But I can remember being on the plane and like looking at it and not really understanding it. And I
Yeah.
can also remember being in the swimming pool, like in Portugal as a little baby.
Wow.
I can remember. I've always had that memory, and
Yeah,
I was 2 years old. But that's
that's
like
so cool.
I didn't
That's so
understand.
cool.
Didn't understand what was going on. It's just a memory that I've always had.
I
Yeah.
think that's rare too. So that's really cool. That's a cool story to have. Um, I'd like to hear like the jokes about people like coming online around the age of 5 when they like shit their pants for the first time. Like that's like, oh, that's when I remember,
That's the first
being
memory.
embarrassed and
Yeah.
terrified and like something like that. It's
I
usually
did that
funny
at
like
school.
that. But yeah, so like fast forward, I didn't really have much memories of weird stuff between then and when I was like an adolescent. Um, I think the earliest thing after that I can remember that was significant was seeing lights over the horizon in my backyard. And this is getting into the UFO territory. So, starting around the age of like 7 or 8, and for people as awareness, like this was back in the 90s when like we had on this side of the pond, we had X-Files and like shows like that, and like creepy, mysterious, and Chris, what was the other one where like Unsolved Mysteries, unsolved. My
Oh
family was
yes.
obsessed with Unsolved Mysteries, and then of course Twilight Zone. But so the one thing that makes this story significant is because I wasn't the only one seeing it. I had friends staying over for sleepovers, and my mom, she and I witnessed it on a dozen occasions over the years. But so here's what I saw. So, and I'll set the stage too. So we lived kind of in between rural and city life, And so it wasn't too densely populated, but it also wasn't really like a deep city per se. Like there was maybe I think maybe 20 miles away was a big city. And so, but it wasn't in that direction. So if you're looking over the horizon, there's this huge hill on the other side of this kind of valley from where we were living. And over the top of the horizon, specifically in that part of the sky, we would watch these lights tracking usually from left to right in our field of vision. And they would travel like tens and ten, like lots and lots of distance, like maybe like 10 miles or so. And then they would stop and then they would hover. And so you think like you're hearing this, okay, probably a helicopter, definitely not a plane because planes obviously don't hover. So, but here's the strange thing. These lights that would stop and hover, they would sit there for a long time and then they would shoot smaller lights out of the bigger light. So these smaller lights, usually two or three, would leave the main craft and they would go travel in either direction of each other. And they would only go like within the field of vision, like maybe a few inches away,
Hmm.
and they would sit there. And and so at this point you're thinking like, okay, probably military, right? Like there's something going on. But then if you think back in that time period, they didn't really have drones yet. Like drones weren't a thing.
Hmm.
And if they were, they weren't testing them in, out in the middle of Western Pennsylvania. Um, and the absolute most stunning, strange thing about these orbs that came out of the light is we would watch them track back into the main craft. So they would leave the craft, come out, go in their own direction, and then they would return to the craft, the original big craft that it started from. And like I said, we saw this for years and years. And I think it was only until I moved away when I was older that I didn't really think about it anymore. And after that, I just haven't seen anything like that. Even in modern day with like technology that we have, I haven't seen or heard anything that does that.
Hmm.
So I don't know. What's your take on that?
Interesting, man. How big was like the main ship, would you say?
So you never really got a clear visual of the actual ship. It was just the light and it was really far away.
Hmm.
But I would say it didn't look any different than like a plane like tracking through the sky. But again, just the weirdest thing about it was it would sit and hover. And this is of course like back in the 90s and the early 2000s, you don't have at that state unless you're rich, like some way to record or like capture it.
Hmm.
Um, but wouldn't matter nowadays anyway, because like everything is, AI or whatever, so you couldn't even like prove it.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was my first weird experience with UFOs.
Interesting,
Um,
man.
yeah. And the next one is a little bit cooler, I think, because it was closer. And Chris, you remember this? I talked about the big dark object that floated over the house. So I would go out in my backyard in the spring and summertime and kind of just sit out on the knoll and look up at the stars. And there's this one night where it was there was barely any light, transient light that wasn't real. I think it was like either a new moon, like no moon, or just barely any light. So it was almost pitch black in the sky. You could see the clouds. Um, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw this huge spherical jet black object, massive. I'm talking massive, just drifting over top of me. And it was going fast enough to where it only traveled above me for maybe, I want to say like 2 minutes before it disappeared on the other side of the horizon to my left. But just imagine a blimp, but the blimp is like pitch black. And it looks like it's so low that you could throw a rock and hit it. And so, yeah. And I remember thinking, looking at this thing floating above me, and I remember thinking for the first minute, I'm like just so blown away by what I'm seeing. I'm not registering it.
Hmm.
And then it snaps into me like, what is that? Can I figure out what that is? And then I start thinking, UFO, is this something strange? Is this something weird? So I go to like, I'm watching it. And then as it's about to disappear, I go run in the house and I tell my mom. And of course I come back out and by then it's gone. And this is another one where for years, I've like thought about it. And the only rational explanation I could think of is a blimp. But I did a lot of research into blimps, and blimps usually, first of all, don't track that low. And if it was a blimp, you would be able to see the cabin light or some kind of like notification light in the back that's blinking red to let people know that it's there.
Hmm.
But this thing was jet black. Um, and it was probably one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life.
Wow, could you hear it?
Yeah. No, could it was completely silent. Yeah, it was so weird. Um, yeah. And then the third one, Chris's favorite, is the lizard people experience. This one's more of a
Let's
sleep
go.
paralysis thing. Yeah, let's go. This is the money bag one. So let me caveat by saying I've had sleep paralysis tons of times in my life. Even recently, I've still had sleep paralysis. I hate it.
Hmm.
I just had one like experience like a week ago where like I heard a sound to my right and I couldn't move, and I just hate that. Like I just like I want to wake up, want to wake up.
It's the
But this
worst, man.
particular, I know it sucks so bad. Sorry, can we pause 1 second?
Yep. Okay, we're back on. I just want to say before we continue, my granddad had an experience that he used to tell me so much when I was younger. He's passed away now, sadly, so I can't get him on the podcast to share it because I'd absolutely love that.
Mm.
But he told me many times, and I talked to my nan recently about it, saying like, oh, remember when Grandad used to tell us about his UFO sighting? And then she went, yeah, I remember him coming home that day and sharing what happened. So basically, it reminded me of what you saw with the black thing, ship.
Yeah,
So he was on a golf course walking his two dogs, and he was walking down the fairway. Probably shouldn't have been on there walking the dogs, but he was. And he said there was like trees in the distance, and he saw this black object come up from the trees. And this I can't remember the exact year this was, but it was before drones and stuff like that. And I would guess probably 90s, early 2000s maybe. So it was before like drones and things like that. And he said it was a big black object that came up, and I'm sure he said it was like triangular, and it just started coming towards him. He's freaked out, and he's got the dogs, and he's gone into the closest forest, and he said he's inside the forest, and he's looking up, and this thing is above him and kind of following him, and all he can just see is like this great big like black whatever ship, whatever it is, following him. And he said he got to like the end of the forest, and there was like a scout group walking along, and he said he was so scared he just joined this scout group, and this thing disappeared, it was gone. But he told me that so many times, man, and I'd love to have got him on the podcast to like talk to him about that, but I never got the chance. But it just
yeah,
reminded
man.
me of
Yeah.
what you kind of saw, how he described it, just being like quite slow, no sound, but it was just following him, like it was like watching him or something,
Yeah.
very strange.
I'm totally with you with the whole grandfather thing. So my grandfather's been gone for many years now, and I would give so much to talk to him again about like bring him on podcast because so this is just a fun fact that I don't talk about often. I don't even know if I brought it up on the podcast before, but if you guys have ever heard of the Kecksburg incident, it's a relatively specifically American thing that happened in Pennsylvania. And if you look it up, I can't remember what year. I'm gonna like totally fudge it, but it was definitely
It was
before
like
the
in the
90s.
60s. It was
Was
like
it
in the
really that long
60s.
ago?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kecksburg is not very far away from where my grandfather lived. And he had secondhand experience with the events of that. He actually, so he was a doctor and he had all kinds of patients from all over. And he knew this guy who was actually on the site at the Kecksburg incident. And the specifics kind of evade me for now, but it was essentially, a craft. I think, Chris, if you're looking it up, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think it actually was a craft that landed. And it was this big thing that I think it made national news. But that was just a cool thing that happened to my grandfather that I would love to have pricked his brain on when I was old enough to actually do that. Because he
Yeah,
passed
man.
away when I was like too young, to ask questions or whatever. But
Wow, what a craft
yeah,
landed on the site.
yeah,
Yeah, it like crashed or something. It was like the shape of a bell.
Hmm.
Um, I think they
yep,
call it like the
okay.
Kecksburg Bell. It was in December 9th of 1965.
Wow, I didn't
So it
know it was that
was
long
Whoa.
ago.
that long ago. Yeah. Apparently this I've seen a few like videos about it and documentaries. Like it crashed and people like saw it and then like the military came out and took it and it kind of just
Went
was
away.
like, yeah,
Disappeared.
yep.
That seems to
You know,
happen
now
quite
that
a lot.
Yeah. Now that I say that, I should ask my mom. I don't think I've ever asked my mom about that, or maybe I did a long time ago, but she would have been just a teenager and at that time. But yeah, anyway, so on to the sleep paralysis stuff, which is probably the freakiest thing that I could say I've experienced regularly in my life. The first experience I had with sleep paralysis, I was staying with my aunt and uncle, and my mom was traveling for business or something. And I remember waking up, I was probably like nine-ish. I remember waking up and not being able to move. And as I was waking up, I heard a rattlesnake, like a and I remember thinking as a kid, like I knew what a rattlesnake was, obviously, but I had never seen one up close. I remember thinking, like, oh man, I got bit by a rattlesnake and I'm paralyzed. So I'm like trying to scream for help, like I'm trying to yell for someone to come, and I can't get any words out. And of course, as a 9-year-old and not even knowing what sleep paralysis is, this is going on. But of course, I woke up and I immediately checked my body for snake bites. Like I checked under the bed, there was nothing. And then I don't know how I found out later about sleep paralysis, but it probably just sat in the back of my head as a weird experience for years before I found out that's what that was. Um, and then years and years after that, I had this really strange lizard people experience. So when I was I think God, I think I was maybe like 11 or so. I woke up in my childhood bed and it was about 1 in the morning. I'm guessing it was still dark out. There wasn't any sound. Everyone was still asleep. And again, like living in kind of like a rural-ish area, there wasn't anyone outside getting ready for work or anything. So I opened my eyes and I remember the first thing I thought was like, I'm really calm, but I can't move. Um, and compare that to the sleep paralysis with the snake bite thing. I was freaking out in my mind, but this particular experience, I was completely calm. So I open my eyes slowly and I start to see an image of something standing in the corner of my room to my left near my bookshelf. And that's important later because it kind of reminds me of the height of the thing. So my bookshelf was probably, I want to say like 7.5 feet tall and maybe 3.5 or 4 feet wide. And so like not a small piece of furniture. Um, but as I kind of focused my vision on this blur of an object standing there, I realized it's got this like lizard face, this lizard form and face and skin. There's no hair. It's got these beady eyes and these really weird clothes. Like I don't even know how to describe the clothes. It's just not a shirt, not pants. It's just different. But it was just staring at me as I'm laying there. And I remember just looking at this thing, and you would think like, okay, 11-year-old kid seeing a 5.5 to 6 foot tall lizard creature in the corner of your room, you would be screaming for mom and dad immediately. But for some weird reason, I just did not have any urge to yell or scream or cry out. And so as I'm watching this thing for maybe a minute or two, it's just staring at me. It's not blinking. It doesn't have like the glowing eyes. I didn't really notice a tail, but it was not blinking. And that was the other weird thing. And then finally I just close my eyes and I drift off to sleep. And then I wake up in the morning like, like, and then I like that's when I freak out. So yeah, that was the weirdest sleep paralysis experience that I've ever had.
Whoa. And I mean, you
Yeah.
guys will know this because you talk to a lot of different people that have experiences as well. That sounds like an abduction kind of experience. What you hear quite
Yeah.
often when, people wake up, especially that you wasn't scared.
Uh,
It's like, did this thing have
yeah.
some sort of power,
Calming
some
effect.
sort,
Yeah.
yeah, something, yeah.
Yeah.
Did,
God, I
did,
never even thought about that. Like the possibility I was abducted. I never even thought of that.
Shit,
yeah,
you got probed, dude.
that's how it sounds, man.
So that's how it started.
Because I've talked to people that have woke up with like creatures that look like that, like reptilian type creatures in their room in
Yeah.
like abduction scenarios. I'm not saying you have been abducted, this is,
Yeah.
but you do hear that quite often with abduction cases. That is interesting, man. Did we
Yeah.
say last time that it kind of looked like the reptilians on the Mario Brothers film? Did we say that
Yeah.
last
Okay. That
time?
was us. Yeah. Yeah. I think I
Yeah,
remember
Yeah.
that.
yeah,
Yeah. We
yeah,
talked about that
yeah.
at the very end.
Which are freaky looking dudes. For anyone that hasn't seen the film, they're like big built reptilians with like tiny little
Yeah.
heads, the
Yep.
reptilian heads, and they're very
I
freaky.
would I would say that it's totally within the realm of possible that that was a projection of that. The only thing that I would think that is different is the form was slender. It wasn't like a hulking body with like a suit and tie like the creatures in the movie.
Yeah.
And the face was definitely different. It was more proportional and the eyes were bigger. But yeah, I could have been just a terrible, terrible dream given the other things I've seen like coming out of sleep states. Like I've seen like giant pan size frying pan size spiders coming down over my bed over me like slowly. And the first time that happened to me, I shook myself awake and I was like scrambling to figure out where this giant spider was. And when I couldn't find it, and like, I got the sense about me, I'm like, okay, there's no such thing as a spider that big, especially with a web. I know the sleep
Bro,
paralysis. So yeah, I've had stuff like that. It's really weird.
that would be
You,
terrifying.
you
Yeah.
know, I never thought about this until now,
Oh.
but did you ever connect the dots? You saw craft, you saw the lights, you saw
Hmm.
the main thing, you saw the lights come out of it, you saw the dark thing
Yeah.
going over your home. Had multiple instances of things moving around in the sky. You ever consider like connect those? I'm just pulling this out of my ass.
It
You
knows,
ever
Chris,
connect the
you're
dots
onto something. It sounds
that
like
Yeah.
that.
it it was like observing you or something because you
Yeah.
already had that
Maybe.
natural curiosity? I'm not saying
Hmm.
it's a bad thing, but I'm
Yeah.
like,
Because that's how it often
This.
it is. People don't remember the
that's
actual being
crazy.
taken. They don't remember. It's like,
Yeah.
there's like, yeah, you maybe need some regression or something, bro.
Yeah. This fat kid looks delicious. Let's just see if he's the right size and plumpness to.
Nah, dude,
My
but that's
my
It does sound like
my.
that though. You hear a lot of people
Yeah.
that have these experiences that it's kind of, and then they often put it together a little bit later on in life, and they're like, okay, this
Yeah.
sort of all makes sense. Then they sometimes get regression and the memories of, I'm not saying you have been abducted, but memories of like being on the ship, for example, and stuff like that
Yeah.
come back. You hear it so often, and
I
it's
would do that.
you
I,
do
I would do.
regression.
I would do. I would. I don't know if it would work on me though. I've thought about this over the years. Like you hear people being what's that term? Hypnotized.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and they actually act a certain way and stuff. And
yeah, I'm
for
never
years
sure
I
about
didn't.
that.
Yeah, I never bought into that. I'm sure there's a lot of stagecraft going on with that, but then there are other people who seem like regular people who wouldn't be in on it, and they just claim that they actually did experience that. So maybe I mean I think it is a thing because psychoanalysts do that in real life.
Hmm.
Um, but I would try it, but I would also go in with like not like a fighting skepticism, but like a solid skepticism that it would work on me because I know there's certain people and personality types that it would and would not work on.
Yeah.
So, but I would try it for sure. I'd be terrified that like I do get these regressed memories that come out and I'm like, oh shit, like more
I
things I
think
need to deal with. Oh man.
I think people that are like us that are hyper aware, that our
Yeah.
brains don't stop. Like
Yeah.
I literally can't fall asleep because my brain won't shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think
I
if
know
you're
that
like that,
feeling.
it
Yeah.
it won't work on you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it would.
Yeah.
Unless you like they like sedate you or something,
Hmm.
give you
Yeah.
some sort of like medication to like essentially
I'd
shut
probably
your
have a
mind
panic
off.
attack. I'm like trying to fight it.
Apparently, there is some people that actually can't be hypnotized. Like, there's just
Yeah.
some people can very easily be hypnotized, and they're like, "What the heck? I'm acting like a chicken on stage." And some people
Right, right, right.
just can't get to do that. They just, I wonder what it
Exactly.
is. Because I feel like
Yeah.
I couldn't be hypnotized, but I don't know. Never,
Yeah, you never
nobody's
know.
tried it as far as I'm aware. But but I mean, back to the lizard person that you saw it for a minute and a half. That's quite a lot. I know it's hard to judge time when you're in
Hmm.
these situations, but if it's roughly a minute, a little bit long, that's quite a long time to be
Yeah.
seeing something. It's not like a quick in and out. You're seeing it
Hmm.
for a fair amount of time, and to
Yeah.
not be
And
scared as well. That's strange.
I know that's the weirdest one. We talked to people in the past who've had similar experiences, and one thing that we landed on before was, well, I don't know if you remember this, Chris. There was this woman who had an experience where, or maybe there's someone talking about the experience, but there was a woman who was like jogging, and she came across this floating orb, and this orb stopped above her, and then like out of this beam of light came this giant mantis creature.
Yeah.
So it was like like remember that? Okay, so like this
Hmm.
huge mantis, and apparently it looked just like a praying mantis, except it was like anthropomorphic, so it kind of had like arms and legs and stuff. But we, I mean, unless there really is like a crazy different number of aliens that look certain ways, then we kind of landed on this idea like, well, if you're seeing something that looks like a creature in real life, like that we experience on this planet, and it's bipedal and anthropomorphic, it's probably not an alien. But then you start questioning, like, well, the thing you're seeing, is it really in its real form?
Hmm.
So, like, that is another thing to explore too. That I think that's where the nexus to the paranormal can come into play. Because if you really think about it from a strategic, like high level point of view, it doesn't really make sense that there's cryptids and aliens and ghosts and religion and all the like religious experiences, like all those things occupying the same reality that don't really mesh together, that don't really fit if you go deep into them. It's really, really just a strange thing to be a human. Because I would say that, and my 90-10 rule in humanity is 90% of the stuff that people claim to experience is probably explainable. It's like hallucination or something else going on that's not coming out. However, there's the 10% where you hear the story and you're like, hot damn, that is, and I'm not counting myself as the 10%. The stories I've had, there's explainable, but the ones we've heard were like, wow, I cannot come up with an explanation for
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And if you extrapolate that across the number of humans who ever existed, you're talking about billions of experiences. Oh, or not, maybe not billions, like, hundreds of millions of experiences over human history. And then I start thinking like that's where my skepticism gets squashed down. I'm like, there has to be something more to
Hmm.
this weird reality that we're experiencing.
And of course, when you get people that have experiences together,
Yeah.
for
Oh yeah,
example,
sure.
me
Yep.
and my mother-in-law had an experience where we saw like this weird, we put it in the UFO bracket. We saw this weird, um, it seemed like a living entity in the sky, and
Wow.
and it was very strange. Me and my mother-in-law were watching it for like 5, 10 minutes, whatever it was, but we both saw that together. And we both know that we saw it, and we talk about it to this day. If you're on your own, you can never 100% rule out that you're not having
Right.
a manifestation. Or I know most of the
Right.
time
Right.
we know we're not, because we'd be seeing things
We're
all the
lucid
time
and
if that was the case.
right. Yeah.
But you can never completely rule that out. But when there's two of you having the same experience and you're like, are you seeing it? Yeah, I'm seeing, then it's like, whoa, how can you
Yeah, man.
explain that? There's no.
So weird. Or even better. So like when you have technology, and I'll jump. Okay, so this is one of Chris's favorite stories. This is more recent, so I think it's a little bit more interesting. This happened to me within the last year. I don't remember if I talked about this in the last time, but stop me if I did. But so my wife has family in California, and as you guys know, if you're a first time listener to this, so like I live in Hawaii. We've been here for quite a while, but we had
Beautiful.
family. Yeah, it's been a dream come true. But so we had family coming in from California, my wife's cousins, and they're at well they weren't cousins. The one is her cousin, the other one is the fiance, and they're married now. But they were here. They were kind of just doing like a vacation, and they were staying in our house for a couple weeks. And so this one night, um, like more like being normal dad of young kids, I wake up, I can't sleep very well. And I sometimes when I do that, I go downstairs to the first floor and I like watch TV or something, and there's a couch down there. And so it's like maybe 2 in the morning, and it's everyone's asleep, seems like. And so I'm laying on the couch watching TV. I'm kind of dozing in and out, and I decide I'm going to get up and get a drink of water. So I get up, get some water, come back to the couch, and as I'm walking back to the couch in this dark room, and by the way, the TV, like when it's paused, it'll shut off. So it got dark again as I was making my way back to the couch, and as I like plop down on the couch, like like a fat ass, like I just like like collapse on the couch. I hear someone as I'm hitting the couch say, clear as day, "Hey man," in a guy's voice, like, "Hey man." And so in that moment, I jump away because I'm like, I'm just in my skivvies. I'm like wearing underwear and no shirt and stuff, and I'm kind of like embarrassed a little bit. And I'm like, oh hey, like I thought it was the male fiance. I'm like, hey man, what's up? And I didn't hear anything. No one said anything back. And I wait a couple seconds and I'm like, hey, do you need something? Again, nothing. So I'm like sitting there waiting, listening for sounds, listening for someone going back up the stairs. I don't hear anything. So I decide to get up. I walk up and I go up the stairs and no one's up there in the bathroom. No one's in the hallway. The door to where they were staying was closed and quiet. And so I'm like, that's so weird. And I come back downstairs and I was ready to let it go. But then I just started thinking how strange that was because I clear as day heard somebody say something to me. Um, and then I remember we have cameras downstairs, and I know people were like, "Oh, that's weird." We have cameras like in the living room and the kitchen because we have young kids and we have caretakers and stuff. So like we do that whole hovering parent thing. But I decided to watch the playback, and the creepiest thing about the playback was I found the point when I fell down and like lay down on the couch and I heard the sound. But that exact blip where I would have heard the voice saying something was a skip in the video. And there was just like a weird squeak, like it didn't sound anything close to "Hey man." And so that freaked me out beyond belief because it's like okay, if I had played that back and I had heard something that sounded relatively close to that, I'm like, okay, that's explainable. But the fact that the video just in that couple seconds skipped and there was no way to retrieve it, and I've played that video, like I've played stuff back on that camera dozens of times before, and I've never noticed any issue with it. So it was just that one little slice of time that was disrupted.
That is so
And that,
weird, man.
yeah, that was a really strange one that happened recently. But with
Dude, you got to do
technology,
the
what is
baby
it?
monitor one.
Oh, okay.
Man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell that one quickly too, and I'll jump back to any input or questions. But so this is when we were staying in our old house, and we had just had my daughter. And so she was still an infant and she had her own room, like she had her crib or whatever. And we had the baby monitor that would turn on when there were sounds, obviously get up when she's crying or whatever. But in the middle of the night, I wake up to the monitor coming on. And my wife is a heavier sleeper than me, so she usually doesn't wake up to that, but I wake up to like a freaking pin drop. And so I wake up to the monitor coming on and I look at it and I don't see my daughter moving around or anything. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just, car door outside slamming, turn it on. And I'm like kind of drifting off. But as I'm drifting off, I hear the lightest shushing sound coming from the room. It's like, shh. And so I immediately jumped up and I went barreling into my daughter's room. And there was nothing in there, nobody in there. And my daughter was even coming into the room, like was still sound asleep. And I know I heard a shushing sound. I know I heard a shushing sound. I've never
Man,
had any experience like that. And so, yeah, that's another weird technology based thing
man, that's
that I
terrifying.
experienced. Yeah, especially once you're a kid, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I mean, when technology picks up stuff like that, it's
I know.
yeah,
I
and
literally thought there was a stalker in the room or something. I'm like, oh shit, there's a real
yeah,
person in my daughter's room.
because that's scary anyway, obviously. And then
Hmm.
you go in, and then you're like, what?
There's nothing there. Yeah.
Whoa, man. So that's in the house that you're in right now.
That was at our old house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
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 Was you doing the podcast at this time?
I don't think so. No, that
Okay.
that would have
No.
been 4.5 years ago,
Right.
4-ish
Okay.
years ago. Yeah, and we started 3 years ago. So yeah,
Yeah.
I come to think of it, I guess that is an experience that happened recently, but before
hmm
starting the podcast.
I'm like that, man. My memory of things happening, it's like,
Yeah.
like I think some things happened last week and it was like last year.
Oh, I
So
know.
I'm
I
like
know.
that.
Yeah. Crazy.
That is wild though, man. And the glitch in the camera. I mean, it makes you think because you guys obviously talk to a lot of paranormal investigators, and something we hear
Hmm.
so much with paranormal investigating is the equipment going wrong. And it's like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, the equipment's got, and but we know it can happen. It happens sometimes when we podcast it. We can get into that later as well. When you're talking to certain people, sometimes weird things can happen for sure. So
Right.
stuff paranormal can affect our technology, but you hear it so often with paranormal investigators when they say, "Oh, it's a fully charged battery," and then all of a sudden it's all gone dead.
Yep.
It happens. So you hear it with people that are investigating Bigfoot. You hear it with, UFO guys, paranormal guys. It's something that seems to happen quite often where fully charged new equipment suddenly goes. So equipment can get affected, and it makes you think. This is just are these entities, whatever they are, stopping? They know that they're going to be recorded, and they like cut it out because that's kind of what it sounds like with you, like the fact that you've heard something and it's glitched in the camera as well. That's wild.
Yeah. With the case with my the baby monitor, I feel like that one wasn't as scary because I told my wife and my family about that since, and they like to think that it was kind of like a loved one, like maybe my wife's grandma or something coming to
Hmm.
visit the baby, which is a nice thing
Yeah.
because nothing bad happened or anything like that. But I like to like I kind of prod just to see if there's anything weird going on with my kids, but I'll ask my daughter sometimes like, "Hey, do you have any special like imaginary friends or like have you seen anything weird?" And luckily it's like, "No, nothing weird yet." So
It's
we'll
lucky,
see.
man. My kids, they seem to. I guess I was always like it. I always used to pick up on things when I was younger and had a lot of weird experiences. And I think my kids as well seem to be the
Yeah.
same. You know, something happened. I was talking to you guys before. Something happened quite recently. It was my eldest, and she seems to be. She's had quite a lot of experience. She's had quite a lot of weird stuff happen to her as well. I'm sure she'll be on the podcast one day. And I
Yeah.
have to say this as well. I don't talk to my kids about paranormal stuff. I know I love
Hmm.
the paranormal and
Yeah.
talk about it all the time, but that they don't listen to Let's Get Freaky or know anything about what I've experienced, and stuff like that. It's not something I promote to them. It's not like I want them to be, into
Yeah.
the paranormal as well. I'm protecting them from that. But they have had a lot of weird stuff, very worrying stuff sometimes as well, actually. So we were staying in a couple of weeks ago. We were staying in a cabin in the woods, and it's a lovely place. Centre Parks in the UK. It's like a luxury cabin in the woods where you stay for the weekend. It's a family place. No spookiness at all in this place, right? But there has been some weird stuff that's happened when we've stayed there, and something weird happened last time we was there. So you're in the forest, but you're surrounded by other cabins as well. There's loads of people there, but I don't know. At night, it does feel weird sometimes. Like you do hear, but you're gonna hear weird noises because you're in a cabin and stuff like that. But one morning, my daughter's run into our room while we were there, and she's telling us something weird that she experienced. Like she was freaking out. So there was quite a lot of rooms in this cabin, and my two daughters were sharing a room. And during the night, my youngest daughter came in our room. She got a little bit scared, and my eldest daughter was left in there on her own. And she said about 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, she heard, like she woke up and she had like this weird feeling, and then she heard something in the room go like this. This is how she described it: "Happy birthday," like that kind. And I was like, and the
Holy.
weird thing was, is my other daughter's birthday was the next day. It was so weird, but I mean, and again, we don't promote the paranormal to my kid. Like, I really try and
Yeah.
protect him from that kind of stuff. And I'm going, okay, you could be imagining. She could be. I'm not saying she definitely hurt, but I don't know. It's her experience, but that's what she said. And I was like, oh man, I don't, praying up again. Uh,
Yeah. To be a dad and hear oh my God,
yeah,
dude. I
that's the
that'd be
worst. Yeah,
jeez.
yeah, man. I
Would you
did
guys mind if we took a like a couple minute bathroom break? Would that be cool?
absolutely, brother. No problem at all.
Okay.
Let me pause it. And we're back. Guys, where were we? I can't remember. I
Yeah.
just told you about my daughter's experience. Yeah, that was
Oh yeah,
very
yeah.
recent. Something else weird happened to me as well a couple of weeks ago. And I think, Chris, I was telling you when I was on your podcast that I went through a spell where it felt like there was like a spiritual attack going on in my house, in this house where I'm in now. And it was getting very negative and quite scary. And thankfully that stopped. And I've not really experienced anything for a while, nothing bad. But I was in my kitchen. I think it was last week or the week before. I was in my kitchen and I was like on my cell phone, just going through some stuff, and no one else was in the house, just me and my dog. And then when you feel like someone's there, You can like you get the feeling that someone's there. I could see someone in the corner of my eye standing in the doorway of my kitchen. I could see it, and I was like, just got this feeling of oh, my Siri's come up. Sorry, guys. Oh, that's weird. They're playing with us.
Uh-oh.
Siri, get off. No, Siri. Sorry. Oh,
They're spying.
oh my God. Oh, whoa, hang on. No idea what happened there. My computer just went crazy. What was the last thing I said to you guys?
Oh, the experience in the
This
you saw
Yes.
something
Oh,
in the
yes.
corner of
just
your
you
Sorry.
and your
eye.
dog,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm standing there. I can see something in the corner of my eye. My heart just started, beating because I just got this fear straight away because there's someone there. And when you look and for a second there's something there, but it just disappears. So I didn't get to see what it was or anything like that. And again, you could say like, it's my mind and we're talking about paranormal stuff all the time and, you're manifesting this stuff, which is very possible. But, it really like made me, where you feel like your heart's about to jump out your chest. And yeah, so that's my recent experiences that kind of hope that's all it is.
Is your I think you said this on the last time we did a recording, but is your home like older? Is it like a
No, not
older list?
not
No?
really. No, it's
Interesting.
80s. It was built in the 80s, but
Okay.
there is a forest behind us that's got some legends and lore. So you don't know if maybe this whole area still has that a little bit. Maybe I don't know, but I think there's
Yeah.
there's weird stuff everywhere, man. I really do. I think there is stuff going on around us that we can't see, and
Yeah.
we.
Especially in the UK,
So yeah, I mean, yeah, we're more
old
condensed.
history.
Old history. Yeah. Yeah, I think you can go most places if you're open to this stuff, you're going to experience something.
We had a someone on our podcast one time bring up something I had never heard of or thought about before, but he mentioned that there is something in the paranormal community to running water underneath the ground, like naturally occurring water. And the reason why I think that I found that interesting is because a lot of people claim in the paranormal community that there's a lot of energy pockets and things that tend to bring out energies in certain locations. And we all know that like in in the naturally occurring world, there's all kinds of minerals and deposits and stuff like that that carry certain energies and charges and stuff. And I thought like, wow, that's so interesting. Like if you have, I wonder if you did a study to find out where pockets of paranormal experiences happen the most, if there is a correlation between like certain mineral deposits or naturally occurring water underground or something like that. So I don't know. That just
Yeah.
popped in my mind when you mentioned the forest having a lot of lore.
Interesting, man. So when you started the podcast and you started getting into these topics, did things start happening? Did you notice things weird stuff happening or
Yeah, I mean, definitely for me, like stuff definitely ticked up and all the stories I told. And I had one strange experience that happened in another country that I'll mention briefly. But so we one of our like if you live in Hawaii, you're on an island, you really can't travel to a lot of places without going really far.
hmm
So a lot of people in Hawaii choose East and Southeast Asia for travel. So one of our favorite places, we've only been there twice, but our favorite place we would go to all the time if we could would be Japan. And so we were staying and of course like JJ, like Chris mentioned, he speaks Japanese. I think he owns property in Japan. I think his wife is Japanese, but like he's got a lot of connections to Japan and he knows all the lore and stuff. And so I was thinking about that when we were on this last trip, but I wouldn't say that that played into it. I was just like more aware of stuff and wanting to like explore a little bit of the paranormal there. But I had this experience where we were staying in this hotel and it wasn't like an old hotel. It was like a normal, like high-rise hotel. It wasn't like some old house or something. And in the middle of the night, I woke up and I was laying there and I was just like having, I just couldn't sleep because the time change or whatever. And I heard something in the room say, Aria. It just said Aria. That's what I heard. And I don't speak Japanese. I have no idea. I had no idea at the time what it meant. And I tried looking it up. I couldn't find it. And we ended up asking JJ months later when he was on. And he said, that sounds like the Japanese phrase, it's here. Like something was saying, it's here. And yeah. So in the moment when I heard that in the room, I didn't think too much of it. I thought it was really weird. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But then when JJ told us what that meant, like my stomach dropped.
Man. And you heard that like clearly, like a clear.
Yeah, there's nothing else in the room. Like the AC or whatever was quiet. Everybody's sound asleep. No one's talking in their sleep. And I wasn't coming out of sleep. I was already awake, and I heard that. It was crazy.
Oh, man, that's terrifying. It's here. It's not something you want to hear. What is it? What
Yeah.
is
Is it
here?
good luck? Please let
Yeah.
it be good luck.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Man, that's terrifying. Did anything else weird happen that night or?
No, I actually the rest of the trip I didn't have anything else weird happen, but that's another recent experience after starting the podcast where something weird happened. But Chris
Yeah.
has had all kinds of weird stuff happen too.
Yeah, man. So as your are your opinions changing when it comes to the paranormal? I know my opinion changes every day, to be honest, but uh, would you say I know you were skeptical. You've had quite a lot of wild experiences, but where are you now with the paranormal?
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts?
S- So I always believed in something like paranormal. I always believed that there was I don't think that when life stops that it's just completely over. I think that there's something, sorry, one second.
Chris, you okay, bro? Oh,
Sorry guys.
that's okay, man.
Got crying babies in the background. I wasn't sure if you guys could pick that up.
You've got two young babies, right? You got two little ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two little ones. That's actually why I have to jump off soon.
Yeah, that's cool,
But
man.
so, with the paranormal, it's not so much that I am skeptical in the traditional sense where I'm like everything's bullshit, like nothing is real, like it's just nothingness when you die. I always believe firmly that there's something. So that really hasn't changed, but I would say that the experiences that I've had definitely made me think twice about how close this stuff is to our day-to-day lives because as you know, there are so many, I would say there's more people in this world who don't have experiences like that. And they don't either they just don't think about it or they firmly just don't believe it. Um, but as we've been doing this podcast and as strange things have been happening, not just to me, but to other people, like technology interruptions, that's been one of the pinnacles of our podcast. And I'm sure, like I think Tommy, you said too, it's been happening on yours too,
Hmm.
where people talking about really deeply heavy experiences and then things just cut out or things get choppy and whereas they don't happen strange things don't happen other times when we're having a normal conversation.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, I was talking to a lady once that was sharing all her paranormal experiences. And what was her name? Oh, it was quite early on in the Let's Get Freaky life, and I think her name was Gina. Lovely lady, and she was sharing her paranormal experiences. She was from Texas, and she had this experience with this quite negative energy. And as soon as she started talking about this experience, it started glitching, things were going strange, and we had to stop and then start again. And it was fine again. And then she brought this entity up again. It happened again, started going strange. So twice when she mentioned this certain entity that was affecting her, our technology went weird. So I was like, okay, we better not talk about this entity anymore. And like, carried on, spoke about a load of other stuff. Nothing else weird was happening. And then I was like, okay, let's go back to this entity that we were talking about, and it went off again. It was like three times, and I was like, man, like, okay, coincidence, but I don't think so.
When it's consistent though, like when it keeps happening, then that
Yeah.
you can start raising eyebrows, I feel
Hmm.
like.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
that
stopped talking
happened
about
with
it.
me with it was Kaisa from Kaisa Spooky Stories,
Oh yeah,
her
okay.
TikTok page. She got disconnected 3 times. And when she reconnected, I'm like, clearly this thing doesn't want you to share anymore, so we moved on to something else. No problem.
Yeah, man. See, it's
No problem.
weird. It's weird, isn't it? Because you're a skeptical person will go, it's bad internet and stuff like that. But if it's fine, if it's working all fine, there's nothing, no
Yeah.
glitches, it's absolutely perfect. And then when you talk about a certain entity or whatever you're talking about that makes it go funny at that moment, it is strange, man. I don't
Yeah.
believe in coincidences. That's something I say quite a lot is I don't believe in
100%.
coincidences anymore. There's too many, man.
Yeah. Like, what's weird too? This is not so much paranormal, but there was a stretch of time, and it hasn't been happening recently, but there was a stretch of time, maybe within the last year, where I would think something and I would not be searching for it. I had not thought about it in years and years and years with some like reference to a show or a song or something. And then it just happens to pop up on a feed or a news article or something. And then that's when, like, when you're really hyper aware, like we are, and you just have to stop and be like, well, what is really the probability? Like, one time, okay, that's explainable. Two times, meh. But when it's happening recently and like consistently over the course of a year, I'm talking like a dozen times where this happened, you start thinking like, well, what does this mean? Like, is there something spying on me? Am I manifesting this experience somehow? Which doesn't make sense, because if there's a million other people creating this content and it's coming to me, then I'm not manifesting anything, like it's already been created.
Hmm.
But how is this thing in my own head coming in front of me when I haven't thought about something so intricate in so long?
Hmm.
Have you had that recently, or anything happen like that?
Oh yeah, man, for sure. I feel like I think they are listening to us. I don't know if we mentioned it while we was
Mm,
recording, but our cell phones, for example, definitely listen to us. They
yeah.
definitely
Oh yeah.
they
Yeah.
hear things we say, but thinking it and then seeing it,
Yeah.
that's a completely different ball game. I mean, they do say that in the not too distant future, AI is going to be able to know exactly what we want. I don't know
Yeah.
how I feel about that, but you know,
That's
Elon
bad.
Musk said very recently on the Joe Rogan show that our phones in like 5 to 6 years are going to be able to literally, they're not going to be like apps. They're just going to ping up what we want. And
Yeah.
that's what Elon Musk is, and he's a pretty smart dude. Whatever you think of Elon Musk, he kind of knows what's coming, I guess. And that's quite a scary thought, man. That would mean that we're
Yeah.
literally connected to this technology, which is
Yeah.
I think, a very dangerous road to go down.
I think that plays into the being hypnotized thing. I really do think that. Okay, so here's my conspiratorial nut for the day.
Let's go.
Um, so if you look back at every moment in history where some person or group of people, like a king or a despot or whatever, tried to control people, they used fear, intimidation, death, famine, physical stuff, right? But imagine if someone who was that tyrannical had the power at their fingertips that they have today, that's coming, that's starting to burgeon with AI, and not just supercomputers, but like quantum computing. And when you start thinking about like reality itself at its core, like who we are, and we could do a whole podcast on this, but like, do we really have free will, or is it kind of just we're beholden to the inputs and outputs of the universe? Like, just like a flower, you put water on it, it grows, a tree grows or whatever. It's not going to stop growing because it feels like it. It's going to do what the input says for it to do, what it's programmed for. And the thing that terrifies me about quantum computing and AI and those two things being married up is, if you had something a million times, and this, I'm not exaggerating that number, literally 1 million times the brain capacity of a human in terms of computing power. Can you imagine what that thing could do in terms of figuring out whether people are going to go left or right, or up or
Hmm.
down, or eat this thing or that thing? Like, we will literally be an open book to that level of computing power. And if you marry that up with like someone who doesn't give two craps about the human race as a whole, we're in trouble.
Hmm.
Like, we
Hmm.
are in trouble, man. And I'm not scared for you, like, us. I'm scared for like my kids and my kids'
Yeah.
kids, because they're the ones who are going to be facing that level of control and power that's unprecedented in human history. And
Hmm.
I think I occupy more of not nihilist, but the negative route, where I really do think we're kind of heading for Armageddon. Because if you
We're
have
halfway
someone
there,
who
bro.
is,
We
oh, I
really
know, we're
are.
already more than
Yeah.
halfway there.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about nuclear annihilation. I'm not talking about some CRISPR created germ that wipes out the population. I'm talking about, like, whenever you have someone who is ultra rich, ultra powerful, and they literally have everything at their fingertips, but they no longer need other humans to cater to them. Meaning, if they have robots to do everything for them, if they get every pleasure they could ever want from manifesting it from technology, then we're just fodder. Like we literally just we don't provide anything to them.
Hmm.
And so the worst route is that someone decides in the future that they don't need us anymore, so they're just going to wipe us out. I don't think it's going to go that way. I think it's just going to be neglect and withering of the rest of the human race. And I would not be surprised, and this is bombshell of the day, this is so bad to say, I think that we're heading for another stage of human slavery, another stage in human history where slavery, and it's not race based, it's just class based, purely class based, where that
Man.
level of control is really going to come to bear for us. And I think that we see that now with like people who in the last like decade or so have been making millions upon millions and billions of dollars.
Hmm.
They know this and they are
Hmm.
racing. They're racing for that big bank account so they can count as the elite whenever the crap rolls downhill for the rest of us. And I don't know if it's coming in 5 years, 50 years, 100 years, but I think that unless something like drastically changes, like some religious entity comes down and puts a stop to it, or aliens come in and step in, like with something big like that happens, then we are on the fast track to a really, really bad time for people. So that's I know
Man.
that's really dark, but like that is my greatest fear.
Yeah, but I think it's important to talk about that and to share that fear because that is, as much as the more people that come out and say that, the more people are going to wake up and be like, oh, maybe this is not a good idea to put this chip in us, which
Right?
seems to be coming very soon,
It's coming.
very soon, and it's going to
Yeah.
happen. Unfortunately, so many people, I think, will actually do that and will become one with AI technology. I think we need our cell phones now. I think we might have spoke about this before, but we need our cell phones now
Yeah.
to survive, basically. You know, if you took our cell phones away now, we're screwed. There's so much on there.
Hmm.
It's got our lives on there. We need it for work, for everything. If we need to be a part of this technology to survive in the world and to be, to be able to thrive in the world, everyone's going to do
Yeah.
it, man, whether we like it or
Yeah.
not. That's the
But
worrying thing.
I will say, Tommy, there have been instances where my wife and I, we've taken the dogs, we've gone to a cabin for the weekend. There was no internet. It was just a TV, bunch of DVDs, walking trails and stuff, no cell service, no nothing. The only form of technology was that television or the electricity in our vehicle. Um, y- I was shocked at how quickly I reverted back to a time where I forgot I had a cell phone. And that was
That's
because we
good.
were raised without it. So
Yeah.
I think collectively, if we were like, you know what, screw this shit,
Hmm.
our generation and older people could do it. But the way that now, I don't get conspiratorial, but it's me just connecting dots based off of behavior and observing people. The way that some people that I know are hooked on this stuff, like crack, it's designed that way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The algorithm.
People that consume technology, they don't call you customers, they call you users. That
Right.
Hmm.
is the same terminology that they
Yeah.
use for people with drug addiction.
Right.
Users.
Yeah.
It's the algorithm. They know that they target the teenage demographic because you have all your hormones and all this other shit going on. We were all teenagers, we know what that's like. They target the group of people that get that instant fucking gratification,
Hmm. Hmm.
that Instagram like.
Hmm.
I know people that they'll post a picture on Instagram. If they don't get X number of likes, they'll delete it. And that
Yeah.
becomes their fucking existence.
Man.
Right.
And then that morphs into all this other shit.
Hmm.
Like with fucking like with Discord trying to do the global identity.
Hmm.
To use Discord, you have to like upload your
Oh
identification.
yeah.
The UK
Ah,
Big
is
show,
fucking
right?
doing that shit.
oh man, yeah, it's getting
Apple's trying to
wild.
implement that shit like worldwide.
Hmm.
Like, why
Hmm.
do I have to fucking, unless I'm like doing a job or something where I know like I'm getting paid or something like that, I shouldn't need to fucking upload my ID to
Hmm.
watch fucking Dragon Ball Z what if videos on fucking YouTube.
Yeah, no,
Where the fuck
absolutely.
is the sense in that
Yeah,
shit?
it's crazy.
I'm sorry for getting
Yeah.
loud because
No,
that
no,
shit
it's cool.
really pisses me off.
Yeah, no, let's
I'm
go,
like, it
brother.
makes no fucking sense.
Hmm. It's
Do you
Like,
kind
guys
of like
know that?
what?
Yeah, good. Go
No,
ahead.
you go, man. You go.
So there is, I don't know if it's still around, but in the time of Zuckerberg, when Facebook was coming up, and before he like Facebook became a thing, when it was like literally just on the campus of Harvard, there was actually a course that was available to I think anybody, and it was a course that looked at the nudging effect of human beings to where if you like this is what I said earlier, like if you give them an input, you expect X output. And that's a really simplistic explanation or description of the class. But imagine going layers and layers and layers and layers deep into that. And that's what the whole crux of crafting a social network and technology has been built on. So it's negative to say, but it's really like treating us like cattle in a sense,
Hmm.
to where,
Hmm.
like Chris was saying, like you target a certain group because you know they're psychologically they're the most likely. And it's so fine tuned the way that they work this, and it's literally being built on shoulders upon shoulders of discoveries about humans, to where they have it so finely tuned that it's literally like it is addictive. It's like a drug.
Hmm.
And I think that that is where all this really started, or at least partially that mentality of how do you look at a person like you're trying to run a company? Like like how do you spend X amount of dollars to get X amount or Y amount of output, and how do you craft and tinker that to get it tight? And it's
Hmm.
just getting tighter and tighter. So I
Yeah,
think that's where it's
absolutely.
wrong.
And I mean, it's predominantly free. You know, anyone can use it for free, and nothing's free.
Right.
Let's face it,
It's all
nothing
about
is
data.
free in this world. Why
Yeah.
would they give us free AI? Why would they give us free social
It's for
media?
the data.
It's for the data. Yeah. So we're the
Yeah.
product. We're there. Yeah, they're using us basically. You know.
I really think that the reason why people have become targeted and wealthy from getting on or being an influencer is I don't think that like the powers that be have decided exactly who's gonna happen to, but I
Hmm.
think that they allowed it to happen and they nudged it to happen that way. Because if you think about it, one of the main reasons why people get on to try to be an influencer, everybody and their mother, is to make money from it. Because like
Hmm.
you see these people on YouTube or TikTok and they have these huge followings and they're making millions of dollars, but everybody is trying to win that lottery ticket. And what's happening when that's going on? People are feeding their own personal lives into the algorithm,
Hmm.
and that data is locked into some database somewhere that is malleable and usable. And we're talking about tons and tons of metadata that is going to be utilized for crafting AI and algorithms and all that stuff. And that's what is just absolutely nuts to me.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, Dean, what you were saying earlier about like basically AI taking over and stuff. Our governments, I don't want to get too into politics, you know, because I think left and right, I don't like
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
me
I
either. Yeah.
I think they're all corrupt, basically. But it
Yeah.
does feel like, especially in the UK, and I'm sure in the US as well, it does feel like the governments are encroaching on our lives more and more and more. Like when I was younger, I'm sure my mum and dad didn't worry about what the government were doing, and we never really talked about it in my house. But now
Yeah.
it's like they're getting so involved in our
The front
day-to-day
door.
lives. I know obviously
Yeah.
social media plays a big part in that because we're seeing everything now, you know. But it feels like the control, especially in the UK right now, is it's getting to a point where they're literally trying to lock us up. You know, you can't talk about this.
Yeah.
You know, watch this, watch Netflix, watch, you know, and just and yeah, and it kind of fits with what you were saying that the more they control us, and then we're kind of lambs to the slaughter, basically. You know,
Did
that's
you
how.
see
Yeah.
that
Hundred
Tottenham
percent.
fan that got arrested for bantering?
What did he
No.
say?
I don't know. It was like a chant or something. Like he was doing at Arsenal fans. It was like a
What?
song or something. It's just football banter.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you can't say that. Like you're arrested now. I'm
Hmm.
No
like, are you serious?
way. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
sure what he was saying about, but no, I mean, it's
I can't remember what he said. I came across it. I'm like, this. This better be AI because I hope it's not real.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
we gotta keep singing at the football, man. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I got to wrap. So I don't know if you
Okay,
want to
brother.
stay on, Chris, or
It's up to you,
um.
Chris. You gonna stay on?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good for a little bit.
Okay.
Dean, thank you very
Um.
much, bro. Do you want to tell the
Yeah.
listeners where
Thanks,
they can
Tom.
find
Yeah.
you before you leave?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm sure Chris will do it too. But so you can find us at the Wandering Road Podcast. You can find it on any platform for podcasts, and we're also on YouTube now, where we put our ugly mugs on there, so you can come watch us banter on and talk to other people and whatnot. But yeah, come check us out. And thanks again, Tommy. This was great.
You're
I
a
can't
legend,
wait till
bro.
the next
Thank you.
one. Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll
All
do
right,
a
take care,
full
guys.
AI episode in the future.
Oh yeah.
We'll
Oh
do a
yeah.
Yeah.
full
Let me tear
conspiracy
into
one.
that.
Let's go.
I
Yeah,
got all my
yeah.
notes ready for that. Yeah. Is it okay? Is it okay if I just
Yeah,
exit out, or
you
do
can
I?
just exit,
Okay.
bro. Thank you very much,
Okay.
brother.
All
We'll
right.
see you soon, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
bud.
Chris. And then there were two.
Yes, sir.
If we, how long we been going, man? Well, we,
Uh,
as long as you're happy, we can continue for a bit. I know there's a
yeah,
little
I'm
bit more
good.
we can talk about
Yeah,
because
yeah, I'm
you've
good.
had some weird stuff happen recently.
Yeah, I had some coffee, so so I'm good. I'm
You've got
good.
to tell us about the dog sitting. I've written down dog sitting because you mentioned
Okay.
that.
All right, all right. We'll start there. Unless you're done with the AI stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just get myself worked up when I'm talking about the government and AI and all.
Yeah,
I think it's important to have these conversations like as much as possible, and I think everyone should, just share what you think. We're not going to be right. We're not going to be wrong. It's just opinions at the moment, but we're definitely heading
yeah.
towards a place where it's getting it's encroaching on our lives massively.
I've read 1984. I've read Animal Farm. I've read
Hmm.
all those books. Um,
It does seem.
huge. I'm a huge Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien nerd, and it very much seems like a lot of people want to be Sauron nowadays. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
like, yeah,
It's scary, man.
there's so much going on. Like, it's the last thing I'll say about that is like, I saw this post that said the world that you were born into and grew up in no longer exists.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's all everything is online. Everything has to get posted online. Everything has to be mediated. Everything has to be controlled.
Hmm.
I'm the type of person that if you say something stupid, just because we have the freedom of speech, that doesn't mean that's freedom of consequence.
Hmm.
So if I go up to you and say something insulting, like you're standing there with your wife, I go and say something insulting to your wife, and you deck me across the face and shatter my jaw, I fucking deserve it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's consequences to everything. Like you
Hmm.
can say what you want, but I mean, like within reason, you can't expect
What's the Mike Tyson quote
like
about?
about people like never been punched in the face or
Yeah,
something like
that's
that.
it. That's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
a lot of the
yeah.
keyboard warriors type of
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
Like there's certain things I've seen people say, I'm like, you would never say that to someone's face because you know
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
you would not be prepared for the ramifications
Oh,
afterward
absolutely. Most of the
type of
negative
stuff.
stuff on the internet that people are saying, you're right. They would never, I mean, some people would, some crazy people, but mostly they would never say it in the real world to someone. Some of the stuff is people get really dark sometimes on the internet and say
Yeah,
some really cruel things. And you would hope that they wouldn't say that in the real world, but
yeah. And
yeah, man,
I'll take it to the football for a second. I'm a Liverpool
let's
fan.
go. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds. I'm a Liverpool fan. I've been a Liverpool fan for a while. I have seen some of the heinous shit that people have said towards Liverpool fans about Hillsborough
Oh,
and
man.
other things.
Hmm.
And what's crazy is sometimes it's adults, but I can see where this like, they using AI to police and govern everything because it's mostly like teenage kids
Hmm.
thinking it's funny. And then some of them get caught, get reported, they get traced by their IP, they get arrested, and it's like, okay, well, I learned my lesson. But I think like when you have people like that, that kind of empowers like the powers that be to push this even more.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're giving more fuel to the fire when you
Hmm.
do stupid shit like that.
Hmm.
So I can see how that
Yeah.
can get worse. I
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
stuff like people that don't know the Hillsborough, that was when a lot of Liverpool fans passed away at the game. You know, there was
yeah,
obviously the big fire in the old stadium. People got squashed, and it was a very nasty thing that took place. So for anyone who's going online and disrespecting that, is that's just disgusting, man. You know,
yeah, and they people make fun of the United team with the plane crash
yeah,
and
and
all these
yeah,
other things. It's like,
hmm
come on, man. Like it's not that's not banter. That's like people
no,
actually died.
that's
Like,
sick. Yeah,
yeah,
I think you can't joke about
no.
people dying, man. I mean, that's just sick.
Yeah, there's some things that are more important than
Hmm.
football, I would say. So,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, man. Yeah, people do get silly, and they say things that, yeah, in the real world you would hope that they wouldn't say.
right. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
man,
it's like this bloke is like 60 years old saying this shit to kids. I'm like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you?
yeah,
Grow up. It's not that serious. Yeah, I get mad too at the game, at the match, but
yeah,
I don't do it like that.
yeah. It's crazy, man. It is crazy.
Yeah, but speaking of crazy shit, um,
Yes.
so we'll take it back about 3 years or so, right? So well, he's not little, but my golden retriever, you can't see him. He's sleeping right there. So we had just got him May of 2023. That June, my wife and I, we had to go to our best friends because their daughter was turning 2. She was turning 2. So it was like a 5-hour drive across the state. Um, so we asked my sister, who wanted to visit anyway, to come up a little earlier to dog sit for us for that day. Because we left on the Friday. She came on the Friday. We left on the Friday. She was by herself the Saturday, and we came back the Sunday morning. She said Saturday night around midnight, she was just laying in bed watching TV, whatever, and the dogs are in the room, the guest bedroom she was staying in. And around midnight, she hears my voice as clear as day go, Odie, that's my little dog's name. And he hears that, his ears perk up. The the new dog at the time picks his head up, but he goes back to sleep because he's just lazy. But my other dog, he jumps down, walks to the dog gate, and he starts whining because he wants to go downstairs because he thinks I'm down there. My sister was like, that was so creepy. She like shut the door and everything and just kind of ignored it. She said there were a couple instances where she heard like my voice
Whoa. And you're
doing
not. You're
that.
obviously not there,
No,
and
we're 400 miles away in the opposite direction.
the puppy's hearing it as well,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
responding
That's
to
how
it.
she knew she said she wasn't hearing things or hallucinating things because
Yeah,
the animals reacted to it.
bro.
Yeah,
And you
there was
hear
a
mimics. Sorry, man.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
You hear people hear. I've heard things, and
Yeah.
and my wife has heard me while I've been at work. I think I shared this in your
Hmm.
podcast before. While
Yeah.
I was at work, she heard me call her name. So
Yep.
I call her Treek. I'm the only person that calls her that. Her name's Lois, but I call her Treek. And she heard. It happened actually as well, not long ago. Like it happened again quite recently, where she heard me go Treek, and I'm at work, and there's and I don't nobody else calls her that, and yeah. So I mean, it's mimic. You hear this quite a lot with these. Is it entities trying to trick you into? I don't know what it is. It's
Yeah,
very not good.
yeah, so that happened to her. And that was in the old house that we lived in, which was built according to the records, was built in 1870. and it was one of the first homes, one of the first few homes that was built in the area. Like two brothers, like they built their houses side by side. I don't know if they were like Civil War veterans or something like that, but it was a post-war home. So it had a fireplace, everything. That house creaked all the time just because everything was made of wood,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
know, back then. So,
Yeah.
um,
Man.
yeah. So there was another instance my sister had there where we went to this antique shop, and there was a part of the shop that had like sports stuff and whatever and other just knickknacks. And we walk into that section, and when you walked in to the left of it on the wall, the sign under it said haunted picture. And we like looked right at it, and my sister looked at it. So that night, she said she's laying in the guest room. She's just watching stuff on her iPad, and she goes to sleep. She wakes up and she sees the face in the picture like coming at her.
Oh
And she
man.
started praying in her head. And then she got out of the like sleep paralysis or whatever. And after that happened, I have two dogs and three cats. She said all three cats, like one was on top of her head by the pillow, and both were just on her side the rest of the night,
Whoa.
just staring in that direction. Like they did not leave her.
Interesting. What kind of protected her?
Hmm. Yeah.
Interesting, because you don't think of
She's
cats as doing that. You think of
no,
dogs as
no.
doing that, but you don't.
Yeah, she was like normally it would just be one cat do like sleeping with her,
Yeah.
but to have all three on the bed at the same time, that's never happened.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's some weird shit. And dude, I will say like after I think we talked about this a little bit. Your whole phrase of when you look into the paranormal, it looks back. When I started the show, like after I started the show, like I started picking up more injuries. I'd go for a kick around. Never would happen to me before. Full stretch everything. I would stretch everything. I'd pull my hamstring. I ended up with Achilles like tendonitis on both of my
Ooh.
Achilles, man.
Yeah.
It, I got sick more often. I never got sick.
Yeah.
I was one of those people like I would get sick maybe once every 2 years, and it would be like the flu. I would be down and out for like a day and a half.
Hmm.
But other than that, I never got sick or anything like that. Now I don't know, you know, I got myself checked. Like I'm paranoid with that. I got my blood drawn, everything. I check everything.
Hmm.
I'm like, I go to my PCP. I'm like, dude, check my blood.
Hmm.
Make sure there's nothing. I don't have anything. And it always comes out clear. So I'm like, okay, what else is it? Um, but yeah, Tommy. So to continue on the weird stuff that happens on the show, you mentioned how you talked to that lady. I think it was in Texas. She's talking about a specific thing. I
Hmm.
mentioned that with Kaisa, she's talking about a specific thing. Shit starts wigging out. So recently, we had a guest. You can listen to the episode. I think it was episode 155.
Hmm.
Um, returning guest for the third time. She decided to come on, like, hey, I had more experiences. I'm like, perfect, that's fine. You know, you're always welcome to come share them. So as she's sharing her experiences, she starts initially sharing some stuff that happened. Then we get into other conversation. Then I decide to pull it back to talk more about those experiences. I was like, okay, she's like, okay, I watched a can slide across the desk. I've heard, you know, my animals growl at certain spots, certain doorways. And I'm like, okay, you mind going into that a little bit more? And as she's going into it more, watch the video. Either watch it on YouTube or on Spotify. Watch the video, episode 155. About mid, excuse me, About midway through the episode, she's talking, and then she stops because she hears like a noise and her dog is growling again. And then the video starts going staticky and choppy while she's talking. And as soon as we changed the subject, like we did a quick pivot, like we started talking about anime, cosplay, anything to change the subject to, you know, to calm the situation down. Because one thing I will say, when we bring people on the show,
Mm-hmm.
our intent is not for that shit to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That was unexpected. We've had technical issues on shows, but we've never had an incident where that shit happened live. Like something paranormal happened live. And that scared the fuck out of all of us. We felt so bad. Like I profusely apologized after the show. And yeah, dude, like it was so weird. It felt surreal
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to experience that with two like with the person as they're experiencing it.
Yeah, man.
It's
And
just
it's
strange,
happening to
man.
the technology as well. Like you're not just
Yes.
seeing the girl, you're seeing the computer going weird, that is bizarre, man.
Dude, I half expected like a shadowy figure to pop up in the background. Like throughout the entire recording, I don't know why, but I just kept staring at her doorway.
Oh, bro.
Dude, it was nuts. But yeah, episode 155, check it out.
Wow.
Watch the video. Please watch the video.
Yeah. So did you
And
feel like there was something there? Could you like sense it yourself as well? Like,
I couldn't sense it, but I could, like you can tell the discomfort
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
on someone's face.
Yeah,
So like, yeah,
bro.
man. Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. I mean, like I said, we had that one instance a couple years ago when we were like almost a year into the podcast. We had this gentleman come on, um, that was, a self-professed demonologist and started talking about stuff. Um, and we, his, his technology started going nuts. He dropped from the recording, just abruptly drops from the recording. We get booted out the room and all the recording is lost. Like everything was lost. That's never happened before.
Man.
And then we had to like we brought him back on, like we sent them the link again and we had to re-record 35 minutes. Like we lost a good half chunk of the show,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which is insane.
It's strange, man. I mean, this stuff does seem to affect our technology. It can, these entities, whatever you want to call them. It does seem to happen, man.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, Tommy, but you've said you've heard things, you've seen things after you've spoke to people on the show.
Hmm. Hmm.
There were a couple instances, man, where I don't know if like the energy lingers. Like I had a night terror. So the most recent one, I don't know if I shared the Minotaur one with you guys the first time
Uh,
around. I can't
I'm not
remember.
sure. You shared a lot, but I'm not sure if
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember. So I'll probably share it again, but I apologize if to your listeners if I'm repeating myself on
Hmm.
anything. Um, but the most recent one that I had was I dreamt like I woke up. No, so this is before the night terror. I woke up um that morning. I let the dogs out, fed them, whatever. Um, I had a chunk of my morning like blocked off, right? Uh, for a little later start in the day. I wasn't feeling well. Um, so I go back to bed. This is probably around 8 o'clock in the morning. This isn't even at night. I fall asleep, and you ever have one of those dreams that are like night terrors, but you know you're dreaming?
Hmm.
That's what that case was. I was like in my house, but the difference was like to get to my front door, you have to go down a set of steps. But this one, it was just like one step and it was like a rectangular room and the front door. So in the dream, I let the dogs out to go to use the bathroom. It was nice outside. And I let one dog in through the back, and I'm like, okay, where's my other dog? And then I hear him scratching at the front door. So I go to the front door, I let him in, and he's sitting. I let him in, I close the door, I turn around, and he's sitting by my side. And that's my little brown dog. But coming around the corner is my little brown dog again. And me and my dog were just looking at this other dog. And as it's walking towards me, it like transforms into like this Tyrannosaurus hybrid monster demon looking thing. And Tommy, I like screamed in my sleep so loud that I woke myself up.
Was you actually screaming? Was you actually?
Yes, I was actually
Oh,
screaming.
yeah.
I woke up to myself screaming. Like I don't know how like that works,
Yeah.
dude. There was a few times like I would scream in my sleep from night terrors, like after doing shows. This would be like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and my wife would like nudge me and she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "What, why? What's wrong?" She's like, "You were screaming like really loud."
Do
And
you think that's from listening to people's
I
experiences and it
I
kind
think
of
so, because that's
affecting you?
never happened before
Hmm.
throughout my 20s and every no, never happened before, man.
Yeah.
It's
Man. I mean, this stuff, it is scary, this stuff. I know
yeah.
we do sometimes have a laugh and stuff, but there is a scary side and a dangerous side to the paranormal
Hmm.
that has affected you, it's affected me. We carry on doing it because we love it and we find it so interesting.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there is a dark side to it as well, man, for sure.
Especially when you try to help people that's actually actively going through stuff,
Hmm.
that it's a whole other ball game.
Hmm.
It's a whole other ball game when you talk to a guest and then they message you saying, "I am actively going through shit right now. I don't know what to do."
Hmm.
Nothing prepares you for that. Like I didn't fucking go to exorcist school. I didn't go to the Vatican. I didn't get trained
Hmm.
to deal with that shit. And then you feel some sort of responsibility and obligation to help. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna ignore your message.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm gonna tell you to do what I do. I open up Psalm 91, I read it, I leave the Bible open in the room, I go somewhere I feel comfortable, somewhere I feel safe with my animals, and I just lock myself in until daybreak, that type of
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
And but I'll refer you to whoever that I know that can help you. That's the obligation I feel. But to your point, Tommy, this can get dangerous. I don't know if you've had that too, where people have reached out to you and they're like, Tommy, I don't know what to do. This is
Hmm.
happening. This got worse after we talked,
Hmm.
after we
Yeah.
like did a recording, and then you feel partially responsible. I know it's not my fault,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's like it's
Yeah,
never
no,
my
for sure.
intention
Yeah.
to bring darkness onto anyone.
Hmm.
But we're trying to talk about this stuff to like let it go. It's like you're carrying a bag of rocks, a bag of boulders, because you're afraid to talk about it because people are going to think you're crazy, and you try to let that go, and then it just comes back with a force. It's
Hmm.
just,
Yeah,
it's a
man.
dangerous game, man.
It
It's a
is. It
dangerous game.
is. And my advice is very similar to yours. How I handle it is how you handle it as well. You can only do what you know and what
Yeah.
works for you, and I've told you like prayer was a big part of what got me through the dark times. It never got to a stage where it was too dark, thankfully, touch wood,
Yeah.
it was just, building and you could feel it and everyone could feel it. And that was very worrying. So that is the technique that I use, prayer and my faith and stuff like that, and that's what gets me through. It's not going to work for everyone, it's people are
No.
different, and you have to. That's the tough part, and then it's finding someone that they can talk to. Thankfully this community there is a lot of people that are willing to help people, and you can get someone else in that maybe can deal with that situation better than yourself, that's willing
Yeah.
to help. But it is difficult, man. It is. And it can get dangerous, that's for sure.
Yeah. And again, like the other dream that I had, it was a very vivid dream. I don't call it a night terror.
Hmm.
Um, it was weird. I'll say that. So this was probably a couple years ago. Um, yeah. Yeah. It was the summer of like 2024 or something like that. And I had I like to listen to audiobooks, and I saw that there was the Bible narrated by James Earl Jones. I'm like, this dude has a magnificent voice. Who doesn't want to hear James Earl Jones narrate the Bible, or narrate any type of book? So one night in the summer, it was like July or June or something like that. Um, I woke up. It was like midnight or so. I couldn't sleep. So I went downstairs. I laid on the couch, and one of my cats, well, all the cats were down there, but my one cat in particular likes to lay on top of me, whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I can't fall asleep. My wife is upstairs. The central air is on. She's not going to hear it. So I turn on the audiobook of the Bible, and it was like reading the section of the Psalms. So it's playing in the background. I set the timer to like shut off after I do a custom time of like 4 hours because I'm weird. But so I'm listening to it. I fall asleep listening to it. You're in that state where you're half asleep and you can
Hmm.
hear the stuff in the background, but you still dream at the same time. So I dream that I'm on that couch, same house, layout, nothing is different. I get up and I go upstairs, and in the spare room where I did my recording, the guest bedroom, my wife is standing there, and her like friends from work are there, and they have like one of her friends tied down to the bed. And I'm like, I look at my wife, I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? And they're like, oh, we're gonna sacrifice her. I'm like, why are you doing that? And this like Minotaur thing like appears, right? You ever play the God of War games?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like the
Love
OG,
them
like
games.
The Greek trilogy, the
Yeah, yeah,
OG
yeah.
ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it kind of looked like. And they're like, "Oh, we got to sacrifice it for this thing." And I'm like, "Oh, the fuck, you're not." I got really upset. So I see this thing and I like punch it. And when you hit something in a dream, it feels like you're punching a cloud or something.
Yeah, yeah. You can't hit nothing. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can't hit nothing.
Hmm.
Dude, I felt like I hit something. I felt like I hit something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm wailing this thing. I'm like fighting this thing. I'm like socking it in the face down the hallway to the steps. And you ever watch 300 where Leonidas does that this is Sparta kick? I literally like this is Sparta kicked it, like booted its ass down the stairs, chased it out of the house, whatever. And then I woke up and the Psalms were still playing. So I wake up and I'm like, that was a weird dream. And I tell my wife about it the next day. I'm like, I had a dream you're trying to sacrifice one of your work friends to like this Minotaur type thing. But when I talked to my buddy JJ about it, who's the host of Southern Demonology, you would love having a conversation with him.
Mhm. Need to get him
Um,
on, man.
yeah, definitely. Because he has a really creepy story from when he lived and worked in Japan.
Okay.
You'll absolutely love it. Um, Yeah, and I talked to him about it. I'm like, that was weird. The fact that like when I hit the thing, it felt like I actually hit something. And I'm like, do you think because I had that on that like might have helped? And he's like, maybe that could be a possibility.
Hmm.
So like that was one of the weird I wouldn't say that was a night terror. It was like a, I don't know if it's a lucid dream or a vivid dream. It was one of those that just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
It feels like more than a dream.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. You have dreams that like are like a nightmare or whatever, and you wake up and it can affect you a little bit, but it's gone. But then sometimes you have a dream that is like impacts your day, and you think about it for, there's some dreams that I can remember as like it's become like a real memory, but it was a
Yeah.
dream. It was such a dream that affected you so much. It is very strange. Dreams are very weird. I've said
Yeah.
it
And this
before.
is 2 years ago now.
Mhm.
Probably about a little over 2 years ago,
And
and I
you can
still
still remember that.
remember it
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. I think I mentioned it on the podcast before. I had a dream where I was like in like SWAT gear and I was a part of this like military unit. I don't know what we were, we was all in this like black gear and we were hiding from something and and it's just the way it made me feel. It was so real.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a normal dream. It felt very strange. It felt very real, and I was very scared. And then all of a sudden, the military came in, and they were shooting at us. It was wild. It was, it was a wild dream. And I woke up, and I was like, I need to stop looking into conspiracies and stop talking about this stuff because they're coming for me.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
impression I had, and it affected me, man. I still remember it very clearly now. And that was probably a year ago, maybe. I'm not sure exactly. I lost track of when these things happened, but it wasn't long ago. Did you say
No.
you had a terror after talking to that girl that had the bad experience while you was recording?
Yeah, that was the one where, like, the one I just talked about with
Oh,
my
that was that
dog.
one. Okay,
Yeah,
that
that
was
was that
then.
one. That
Oh, so that
happened
was
a
very
few
recent.
days. That was
Yeah.
very recent. That was like within the past 2 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting, man.
Yeah.
Nothing's since then.
No,
Touch
nothing
wood.
since then.
Just
Yeah, touch wood.
praying up, man. Just praying up.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Bro, this
It
stuff is wild. That is for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I had a UFO incident, but it's nothing special.
Let's
Um
go.
It was probably what year is it? 2020, it's 2026. So this was probably 2003. Probably 2003 around that time. Actually, no, 2002. So um 5, 6. Just trying to remember, like it's
Oh
over
man,
20
I
years
can never
ago.
remember
Yeah.
dates or anything. So don't worry about that, man.
Yeah. What I do remember is I told you in the previous show, I grew up in the Bronx. This happened in Queens. So this is unrelated to the house.
Hmm.
So when we went to visit family, we would always take the subway station. So the subway station eventually, like when it leaves Manhattan and you go to like Brooklyn and Queens and stuff, it starts to become above ground. So we got to the stop we got off at was always the last stop on the A train. And we get off the train and I'm walking down. I'm with my mom and my sister was like in the stroller or something. Um, and we're walking and we like look up and we notice there's this light following us. And it wasn't a spotlight, it wasn't a helicopter, because with the spotlight you could see the cone type of thing, right?
Hmm.
Wasn't a helicopter, wasn't making any noise. You could kind of tell what a helicopter is. It wasn't a plane, because planes usually just go past. So, dude, like we would walk. It would take us. We live 6 blocks away from the subway station. So we walked the block. We noticed this thing following us. We stopped. It stopped. We kept walking. It kept following us. And I remember this clearly. And we got to our street, but it was still like 3 blocks into the street to get to our house. And my mom like grabs my hand and we like pick up the pace just to get to the house. We like leg it and we get to the house and like it's not there anymore. It I don't know what it was.
Hmm.
I always think, I'm like, okay, maybe it was a spotlight, maybe it was a helicopter. I don't think it was any of that. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was. It was just weird. It was a very dark night too. It was like one of those nights where, what do they call it? The new moon type of thing, where it's like
Hmm.
really dark and it's in the autumn. So it's like cold, dark, and it feels like the darkness is different when it's in the cold season, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was just,
I mean, the fact that it's like stopping as well. I mean, what?
yeah.
Nothing does that we know, especially then. Even now that would be weird. But
Yeah. My mom, like even now, my mom was like, I was so scared. She
yeah,
said, she like admitted she was so scared. She's like, I had two little kids with me. Like,
yeah,
I
man.
just tried to get back to the house.
I know, Steve, but how big did you say it was, roughly? Like, if you had to sort of guess, I know that's difficult with things that are in the sky.
Um, so this was like, I have a little like battery here. This was kind of like the shape of it,
Hmm.
and you could see it in the sky. It wasn't like massive. It wasn't like this big. You would be like, oh, it was like a flying saucer.
Yeah.
It was, it from afar, it probably looked like this big, I would say,
Hmm. So for
in the
for the
sky.
listeners, it's like the size of a coin in the sky. Which,
Yeah,
which, if you think that's quite big, you think that if it's something in the sky that big, it must be a pretty big thing, whatever it was.
yeah, yeah. And it was very bright.
Hmm.
It wasn't like
Interesting.
it was something like my phone type of color, you know?
Yeah. You got the Liverpool case there on the phone, I see.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you just see that thing behind you?
Love it, man. What's that?
Did you see that thing like float behind you and on
No.
your back?
What?
I don't know if that was like a dust bunny or something.
What did it look like?
It
Well,
like went,
see,
it went
weird.
like, you remember when you were on my show? Like you saw the little orb just like float up
Yeah.
on
Yeah. Was
your
that?
screen?
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
was on 305 Paranormal a couple of weeks ago on a Sunday night. It was live, and we were talking, and they saw something on my screen, and I kind of saw it as well. I mean, I know it could be dust. I mean, I don't know,
Could be
but
dust, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully it's dust. There has
Yeah, I think
been weird stuff, like going back to things being caught on camera. I have had things like weird things that I can't explain on the camera before as well. It's weird.
yeah.
I was talking to Aaron Wrigley. We was having a conversation, and he saw something, and I didn't see it. And it wasn't until I put it out on YouTube because I never look back at the episodes. I just put them out on YouTube,
Yeah.
and people were messaging me saying minute 30, whatever it was, there was this little white thing kind of moving. It was so weird, man. I did put it on Instagram as well and stuff, but yeah.
Oh, that's
That's going
nuts,
back to
dude.
when it was getting quite weird in the house as well, and it all sort of added up. There was a lot of weirdness going on.
Yeah.
Oh, brother, this paranormal stuff, man.
I know. I know. I can't wait to get you back on Monday, dude.
Yeah, we're doing it very soon. I'm excited for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good time.
So just to round it off with the UFO that you saw there, what do you think of UFOs now? Where do you stand with UFOs? And we've got presidents and ex-presidents saying that aliens are real now. We're in a very strange time. What are your thoughts?
From a logical standpoint and based off of like probability, the universe is so vast. Like even in our galaxy, there are millions and billions and billions of solar systems and planets and everything in our own galaxy that we cannot be the only intelligent life. And I struggle to call us intelligent based off of how we behave as a species.
Hmm. Hmm.
We if there are extraterrestrials within our vicinity that observe us, they probably view us the same way we view primates
Yeah,
based off
yeah.
of how we behave.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I don't think they'll be coming down anytime soon.
Yeah.
Um, I so to put it this way, yeah, I think aliens are a real thing. When we see UFOs, they're a real thing. I mean, there have been sightings since antiquity. I mean, you have tribes in Africa and Native American tribes back to the Sumerians that all reference, even the like ancient Mesoamericans reference like sky gods
Hmm.
that like actually came down. They weren't just like they detail like them coming down and interacting with them type of thing.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's been a part of human history for a very long time. And I think it would be very self-centered. And this is just me talking, so don't give any heat to Tommy. I think it's
Bring it
very
on.
ignorant to think that we're the only intelligent life
Hmm.
on this in this galaxy, in this universe. Because if the thought that we're not the only intelligent life makes you uncomfortable, like you just need to go back and rethink everything
Hmm.
because we're not the end all be all of this world in general,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
agree,
and of
man.
this universe because I am pretty sure there are other civilizations out there that if they wanted to could wipe us out in an instant.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Some of the technology we witness, you would think that we are, they are far superior to us, and that.
And I mean to put it this way, you have like I think it was like in the 50s or the 60s, you had like that pilot from Japanese airlines that reported stuff. If it wasn't something, why'd he lose his career?
Hmm. Hmm.
There's so many instances of like astronauts that go up to the space station or whatever that literally see things move, stop, and then just speed off. Like asteroids and comets don't just stop for a quick break.
Hmm.
They just
Hmm.
keep fucking moving.
Yeah,
So what is that?
for sure, man, for sure. I saw a comment this week, actually. Funny enough,
Yeah,
I
nice.
think it was a
Nice.
comment anyway, but it was moving through the sky. It wasn't a shooting star because shooting stars are so quick. This was like that, but kind of yeah,
Yeah.
just to.
Yeah. So I don't understand like why people are so afraid of the thought of extraterrestrial life. I guess from a survival perspective, you don't want it to be true because it just proves you're probably at the bottom of the food chain.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
we
Yeah,
might be a food source for other extraterrestrials the way like pigs and chickens and other animals are a food source for us. I mean, that's a
that's a
scary
scary
thought.
thought. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you see, like, I, I don't even know a good way to put this, but people will believe in certain ridiculous shit, but they'll think like, we're the only intelligent life in the universe. I'm like, come on, dude.
There's too much there. You've seen stuff, I've seen stuff.
Yeah.
They're in cave drawings, old biblical paintings where there seems to be like a UFO.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
picture, in these old pictures, there's a UFO there. They might not have called it that. They put their own terms on it at the time, and yeah, these things have always been there, man, and they seem
Yeah.
to be
Like,
getting even more
I,
prevalent.
I don't know if this is made up, but there's like an instance of like during a battle, like Alexander and the Macedonians saw a UFO. I don't know if you've heard this story before.
No.
They saw what looked like a shield. They described it in the sky.
Hmm.
So, I mean, whether if that was fabricated, fine, I'll hold my hands up and say it was fabricated. But if it's real, I mean, you have someone like Alexander the Great seeing
Yeah.
these things like that. And even with I know like we've gone for over 2 hours now, but
Oh, yeah. We
yeah,
always do.
yeah, I know. But even like with the Black Death, right? People reported seeing these like Grim Reaper looking type of creatures that this mist would spread out and people will start getting sick. Like, was it all was the plague all caused by rats? Scientifically, I would say yeah, because like there's multiple times rodents caused massive plagues and sicknesses. But if you have people reporting seeing that weird stuff,
Hmm.
what is it? It was it extraterrestrials trying to call us? Like, who knows?
Yeah,
But
man.
that's just like putting on my tinfoil hat.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. Let's go. But that, yeah, I mean, that, can you imagine living through that? The Black Plague, that must have been such a terrifying time to be alive.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Oh, yeah, man. I've not actually heard that about the people seeing the death and stuff like that. That is interesting. I need to look into that a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Brother,
It's
we live in a crazy world, and we have.
yeah.
I'll round it off because we have been going for over 2 hours, and I appreciate your time again, brother. It has been absolutely
Absolutely.
fantastic. Um, we got to do this again soon, man. I feel like me, you, and Dean, we can go down some more rabbit holes,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
let's do it, bro. But thank you so much for your time tonight, brother.
I appreciate it, Tommy. I
Can you
really do.
tell the listeners where they can find you and your awesome show?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're all over social media. We're mostly active on Instagram now. So you could, if you search TW Road Podcast on Instagram, you could give us a follow there. We have a Facebook page, just search The Wandering Road. Um, if you do follow us on social media, we're active and we actually respond to messages and people as long as you're respectful and kind. Um, if you want to listen to the show, we're on YouTube. You could watch us on a video medium. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on pretty much every major podcast platform. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find us. But if you're one of those people that enjoy watching video episodes, we upload the videos to Spotify and we also upload video to YouTube. So if you want to go ahead and check us out there. If you want to get a hold of us, our email address is probably the best way to do that, or on Instagram. But our email address is twroadpodcast@gmail.com. Shoot us a message. We're pretty quick to respond back and get stuff scheduled out if you want to come on the show as a guest, or if you want to share your stories with us, we can make an episode out of it. We could read it out on the show, and you don't even have to disclose your name or anything. You could just keep it completely anonymous. And if you want to be on the show and you want to stay anonymous, even though we record video, we don't care if you like leave your camera off. That does not bother us one bit. So if you want to check out our show, you want to be on the show, go ahead and get a hold of us. We love interfacing with the community. And like Tommy, creating a paranormal safe space, for people to come on, and we're not going to judge you for your experiences or try to argue what you went through because we all went through some shit and nobody can tell us that we didn't.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely, brother. You
Yeah.
guys are awesome. People need to check the show out right now if they haven't already. Thank you so much for your time, man. And I'm excited to talk to you again soon. We're talking very soon on your show next
Yeah.
week. So I can't
Next
wait for
week
that
we
as
are.
well.
Same here. I can't wait for us to record Let's Get Footy, the first
Yeah,
episodes.
we're going to do that as well. We're going to do that very soon.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, brother. You're a legend, man.
Liverpool.
Ah, up the O's.
That-
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, share it where you can. That is a great way to support the podcast. We'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, brother. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds.